I must have seen you somewhere. I never forget the face of a pretty woman.
Oh, please. That's a terrible line.
I'm Ben.
Hi, Ben.
This is her Best Actress winning performance in the film Short, Second Acts, but she is unforgettable as Olivia Walton, Depression-era mom on the iconic 70s CBS drama series, The Waltons.
But that show is celebrating its 50th anniversary, and through those years, its star has created a legacy of performances on stage, screen, and television. She's starring as a lead in the new Netflix series Monster, the Jeffrey Dahmer story. She's pretty amazing. None other than Michael Learned. Thank you so much for joining us. Mike, let me tell you, before we get to Monster, you must be incredibly proud of the role of a lifetime in the endearing TV classic, The Waltons.
Yes, I'm very grateful and humbled by it because, you know, we had no idea that show was going to, we had no idea that we were going to become icons. I told my husband, you know your role when they call you an icon.
I know that's right.
Now, you've said this role saved your life. You were living in a motel with your kids, and you say you were drinking too much at the time. What kind of changed things?
Part of that's true. I mean, I was drinking, and I was staying in a motel just to try to, I'd come down to LA to try to learn my way around so that if and when I got an audition, I wouldn't arrive late and, you know, shaking in my boots. So, no, I wasn't living in a motel, but I was staying for a couple of days while I drove around. And in those couple of days, I got the Waltons. It was just, God's hand was on my shoulder, I think.
Wow.
Isn't it amazing what a couple days can do? I mean, your
change your whole life. That's
right.
crazy.
Turned my life around, literally, yeah.
You know,
it's amazing.
Let's talk about this Netflix limited series. It looks phenomenal. You're starring in Monster, the Jeffrey Dahmer story. It's a really dark role, and you're playing Jeffrey Dahmer's grandmother. Talk us through what playing this role has been for you.
Well, she wasn't dark. He was, but he was her grandson, and I'm not supposed to talk about it too much, so I'll be very vague and general, but I think, let me just speak for myself. In order to play her, I had to think what it would be like if my grandson, who is the dearest person in the whole world, if I suddenly discovered he was a serial killer. I mean, how do you process that suddenly this person you love so much turns out to be a very bad person?
Wow.
Wow. Now, just before COVID, you were named Best Actress at the Soho and Hollywood Women's Film Festivals for the short Second Acts. Tell us about that experience.
Oh, that was a lovely experience. Jerry Pass is a friend and a producer, and he had come to me years ago and said, I'd like to manage you. And I said, I'm unmanageable. No, forget it. So rather than walking away and being, you know, sort of hurt feelings, he said, well, how about doing this short? I've created this short for you. And I'm so grateful to him because it was a wonderful thing to do. It was the last thing John Wesley did before he died.
Wow.
And it was just a labor of love on all our accounts. And it's a love story. And how often do you get to see two people my age falling in love?
I love that. I mean, I'm a sucker for love stories, one. But two, one of my favorite things about watching you work, you have a grace about yourself. Like that can't really be taught, it just is, you know, but it's crazy because you've had a rather unglamorous start growing up on a farm in Connecticut, milking goats and even carrying pig slop to the barn. Tell us about how that has formed you into what we see today.
Well, I had to be responsible. I stole money from my dad. I would sneak into their bedroom in the morning and rifle through his pockets and steal a quarter or whatever and have some day school students buy me candy. And the teacher called my father one day and said, you know, your daughter's buying an awful lot of candy and I'm wondering where she's getting all this money. Do you know? And so when I came home from school one day, my father said, I don't know whether to spank you. You're too big to spank. But you stole money from me and you've got to pay it back. And so he made this chart. And for every chore that I did, I would get paid a certain, you know, half a cent or a quarter of a cent or a penny or a nickel, or depending on what it was I was doing. And I think it taught me responsibility. The only thing that I really hated about it was going up to the barn at night. I was scared to death of the boogeyman, you know.
Oh, I
but once I'd get to the barn and turn the light on, and all the animals, the warmth of the animals, not that they could have saved me or anything, but I always felt okay the minute I could turn the light on and the animals were there. I felt safe.
I know that's right.
You know what? I think
too.
her quarter debts are paid at this point. Michael Lerner, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you so much.
Thank you.